Hey everybody, welcome to Forge Narrative. This is our Monday night webcast. My name is Paul Murphy. I'm joined tonight by Chris Morgan and Justin Troop.
Ooh. Ooh.
If you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do so. We got tons to talk about, including new Space Marines. I mean, how awesome is it that we get this book that's... And to be honest, I had someone give me a little grief today because I was so excited about it and telling me that things didn't change.
What? There was so much change.
I started pointing out a few. He's like, well, yeah, until
Yeah.
he was forced to agree. Right out the gate. Go ahead.
It was a lot of little changes, like real subtle things, but you really had to pay attention to notice them. So yeah, like if you're looking at it from half shutters, there is changes.
Yes, and good changes too, such as things like the +1 to feel no pain, what we're going to talk about for the Iron Hands.
Huge.
The versatility of the Stalker now a little bit different. You don't have to be quite as cagey with it. The Librarius Conclave, or whatever it's called, very, very strong. The fact that you can put them on bikes and add them to this list I'm going to talk about pretty soon. Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah. There was, Centurion's got a couple points cheaper, so that was a staple in a lot of competitive armies. So, there's more toys that you can pay for now. So that's kind of cool.
Yes. And they didn't get any worse. Centurion stayed awesome.
No. Yeah, they are just as good, if not better, because they're cheaper. So.
Yep. So let's give some shout-outs, people. Bill, Chris, John coming in. How's that dart arm going? Troy, yeah, 40K. I mean, we've been playing here in Atlanta 30K mixed with 40K for quite some time. Frankly, it's a more balanced game because you're only having to deal with Marine on Marine for the most part. Mm-hmm. But it slots in pretty good with 40K stuff. Kelly, good to see you. Lou, Space Lou, how's it going? Dean, Chris, Coach, what's going on, man? You guys want to get right into some questions? We got Coach coming in strong. Says, I was wondering how to make assault troops and devastators work. Then the Emperor gave us the Skyhammer Annihilation Force.
The Emperor protects, or in this case, murders.
The neat thing about that is you don't have to max out the squad sizes. So if you build, you could even take 2 of them. In a list, you could have all these devastators coming down full out with points or with weapons they get to fire when they land, and the assault squad. You can have a 5-man assault squad, and it'd still be fairly effective because you're preventing things from overwatching on them, and then get to charge into combat the turn they land.
Yeah, the combo potential with that unit that's the synergy, my favorite word in the world. That really links together. I was toying around with it a little bit, like I was doing 10-mans, I was doing 5-mans. It gets pricey fast in a way, especially if you want to use like the grav, which I was trying to do. Those are expensive.
We're coming down with Relentless.
35 points each.
With Relentless, the grav is way better. You
get to fire the full salvo.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah,
and you can put the amp on it too, right?
Yeah, it comes with it. Like it's like cannon with amp or something.
So good. So good.
Very strong, and it's kind of weird that they're offering that only via the web, but we'll see it eventually, and of course it will get passed around. People are going to be using this formation, and it's good, but it's not that good. Let's think about some things that can. Okay, I don't want to say it's not that good. Let me backtrack. It is very, very good. But it's not undefeatable. Like there are things like Kodiaz, and there are things like Tau that can intercept these Marine squads and just pick them right back up off the table.
I don't think that there's an unbeatable list in the game at the moment. What do you guys think?
There are some that are a lot harder to beat than others. But that formation is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No, it's way fun.
One of the things I like about it too is you get to pick turn 1 or turn 2. So you got to think about like the tactical ploy that
that's the strongest thing in that.
Don't look at it.
is that you get to pick turn 2. So their reserves may be forced to come on, and then you get to come down and deliver the big blow to them.
Oh yeah, Kansas City shuffle them, you know.
I got a shout out real quick to Brother Pink. Nuff said, "Ohayo gozaimasu." I hope that you have a good class.
Oh, 11 a.m. That's right. Kelly K saying wants to talk about the Librarius Conclave. That thing is amazing.
I can't wait. I've got so many librarians just sitting saying, "Put me in this."
It does have some drawbacks. If you use the super, one of the abilities, then the rest of the librarians don't get to cast that turn. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, or too much of a weakness. Well, what I do like is that you can kit them out as if you were a normal Space Marine character.
Well, yeah, and the thing with that is it's only the guys within 12 inches you have to worry about. If you have them split up enough, like if you have a dude that you have a power you really want to get off on, and he's next to one other dude, and the other dude, he's not really going to do anything effective. Maybe he's just got some short-range witchfire powers or whatever. You just say, all right, he's not going to cast anything anyways. This guy's going to cast on a 3+ now, and this other guy that needs to do something, I can throw more dice at him to make sure his powers go off.
Well, you fish with your librarians. You try to get the powers that you want, and then you just get off in Fantasyland if you get them early. So if you roll the bad powers, you're really just, in a lot of cases, these dudes are just psychic dice farmers for what other one power you get that you really want anyway. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. Well, with Tigurius, it's like you may as well just pick what you want anyways.
You're still a roll. I've seen plenty of people that have whiffed on Tigurius.
I think it's 80% chance of getting what you want, right? Is the math?
If it's not that, it may be higher. But yeah, you're probably dead on.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've thought about it. It's fairly close to being 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're dang near gonna get what you're looking for. So you use Tigurius in that manner, and then if you're looking for more of a broad thing, like maybe use divination for buffing with prescience, and then say you're fishing for ignore cover or the 4-up invul. You have the other 2 to 4 librarians in the conclave that you fish with those and use those in those manners. There's so much flexibility with it.
The interesting thing is that it doesn't have the prerequisite that they're all linked together in one squad, to Chris's point. So I mean, that's again all the flexibility, none of the drawbacks. And if you take the Gladius formation, and I've been playing around with this, taking the Gladius, in some of these events that only allow you to take X amount of sources or whatever, X amount of detachments is what they've gotten away from the source terminology, is that Gladius strike formation, you're able to put in a fair amount of Marines, including a command squad and a chapter master. The Librarius Conclave, you get one of these anti-air formations, and with a few points left over.
Yeah, these Decurion style things are basically like bento box formations. You just have little boxes of everything that you want to put in this little package, and it's just one detachment. It's beautiful.
Brother Pink saying he doesn't mind the ballistic skill and weapon skill boost Space Marine Scouts have over Blood Angels, as long as Blood Angels remain the sole gunslinging demigod Space Marine chapter.
All right, let me tell you. As a Blood Angels player, I have been struggling this weekend. I've been struggling with the idea that someone at Games Workshop lost a game badly to Blood Angels at one point and decided that they just wanted the Space Marines to have what would appear to be better rules across the board in general-ish. But I'm still going to be bringing my Blood Angels to the table and stomping all over those Space Marine players.
There's always a bit of codex creep, and we're going to see that. I'd like to see less of it, because there's such a rapid release schedule. You would hope that they would increase the communication between all the people that are working on it. It doesn't seem to be the case. It wasn't that long ago that we got Blood Angels, and now we're here with a Marine Codex, clearly superior in a lot of ways, even in stats. A Blood Angel Scout is different than a Marine Scout, and I'm sure we'll see the Dark Angels fall in line with the new Marine book, which will be good for them. I'm happy for the Dark Angel players out there.
This is me being happy about the changes.
We can put on that face. We can definitely put on that face. But the Blood Angels are here to stay. We still got Seth written pods. we still got a cheap, effective way to get a single Feel No Pain entry into an army list, which is great. And there's places for it. Now, hopefully we see some updates. We hopefully don't have to wait too long, and we probably won't before we get something. It's just going to take some sales to slack a little bit. But I'll tell you, my motivation to paint all my Marines that I were painting, my Blood Angel Marines, has kind of gone down a bit.
I'm guilty of that same feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, I had this bucket, this list of things that I wanted to do for my Blood Angels. This next, and this next, and this next, and now I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna paint some Space Marines.
John's saying he's happy to see Fluffy List be competitive again. So something like a First Company or a 10th Company, the formations and that kind of stuff, or building your battle company. There are lots of Marine chapters out there that only have a small amount of Marines left. They've got 80 Marines, 100 Marines, or whatever. You can basically build those entire chapters out of this Space Marine book without even blinking.
Are you ragging on Flesh Terrors again? Oh my gosh, Paul.
They're not the only ones that have that problem. Size of the Emperor, a second founding of the Ultramarines, very tiny chapter. Yeah, they basically have like 50 Marines left. They team up with the Lamenters, where they're actually watching over the Lamenters to make sure they don't. Anyway.
Yeah, Penitent Crusade and all of that good stuff. Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, it's really awesome that you can do that in this new Marine decks. And again, it's all right there for you to do. There's the Marines really did get the Eldar treatment to where almost everything in the book has some type of place, even things like attack bikes and stuff like that. And I really like how the formations, sorry, not the formations, the unit entries for vehicles reward you if you take a squadron of them.
Well, just Whirlwinds, right? When have Whirlwinds ever sounded like an okay option until this book?
Whirlwinds have not been very good for a long time, and they're still not very good.
No, they're still not great. Whirlwinds are not the new Thunderwolves, but
they're better.
But the Vindicator Squadron and the Stalker Squadron are really good. The Stalker Squadron, let's talk about this for a second, is that each one of those cannons gets 3 shots. It's kind of always been weird to me that it gave 4 shots and only had 3 barrels on each cannon before. But I just imagined it like just throwing so many things up in the sky that only 4 of them, probably 4 of them would hit something.
You know how flat guns work in real life, Paul?
Yeah. Yes, I do. That's kind of how I imagine these things. So, with the ability to split fire still, with a squadron of 3, you could throw 9 shots at 2 different targets, and they
intercepting.
Cover. Yeah,
intercepting.
Yeah. and they ignore cover. That is your Hive Tyrant deterrent. That's your Demon Prince deterrent. That could kill Storm Ravens and stuff like that. It's the Necron Flyer deterrent. It kills Wave Serpents.
It'll kill Fire Raptors.
Yeah, it's 225 points to get 3 of those.
It's a good counter to drop pods. Because you get to blast a drop pod as it drops in.
If you're playing a kill point game, it is really good. It puts them in a situation to where they have to be a target priority of your opponent. And it would be 3 armor 12 vehicles with 3 hull points.
Yeah, and 225 points for the whole kit and caboodle. Like, come on, man. That's value.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
You don't have to take it, but yeah.
If you're taking the Gladius, you're probably not going to have the points, but it's nothing to sneeze at because it's so cheap, and that fire, the String 7 AP4, is pretty brutal with all those shots.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm really digging every unit in the Codex has it's not wallpaper. You can justify something even if it is only to enable some of these other formations and stuff. But it's good.
Well, I feel like I finally have a use for the 1 land speeder I've got.
Yeah, Gabriel, good to see you. Yes, I agree. But it's 45 points, I think, for a naked speeder. Oh, let's talk
50.
About 50. Okay, yeah, the Land Speeder Storm went down by 5 points and increased with ballistic skill and weapon skill, our ballistic skill, and the Cerberus launchers got stronger.
Look at the face right now.
Yeah.
I feel so happy about this.
I mean, that's kind of rewarding. I mean, we've been endorsing Land Speeder Storms on this show for a long time. I mean, like since we started playing Marines, basically since the last.
I never sold mine.
Yeah.
I had one sitting around when the Blood Angel Codex released, thinking it was going to be in the new book, and then it wasn't, and then I was like, all right, well, I guess I better sell this, and I didn't, and now I'm glad.
Yeah. Now that style of play doesn't fit with the Gladius, of course, because you have to take tax squads. You know, that's not really a tax because everybody has. You know, everybody's got tax squads, and most people have rhinos.
The thing that I noticed about this book was it does have similarities to the last book, where there's so many options and there's so much versatile unit entries that you can take to fill roles that you can almost build a competitive list with anything that you have. Like if you just have like
that's
just
the Eldar treatment I was talking about. I completely agree.
Yeah, you know,
Even shooty Terminators are better. I mean, they're not
cheaper. Yeah.
they're cheaper and
Cheaper makes them better. If you like playing with Terminators before, then you're happy as a clam.
yeah, and they still need an extra wound, if you ask me.
Terminators do not need an extra wound. There have been plenty of games
No,
where you just don't fail the 2+ save, or you don't fail the 3+ save. Like sometimes you. Just
I think I think Feel No Pain or something might be a little bit more in line to what they probably should get, but
Iron Hands.
Who knows?
Iron Hands are quickly
Yeah.
becoming the star of the, in my opinion, the star of the Marine Codex. The Ultramarines are good. The
They're so
Ultramarines
good.
got, and Marnius is a beast. Like that dude is worth every bit of his points now, and I would never not want to take him in a list where I had a good delivery for him. But Iron Hands is strong, and the change of chapter tactics, it's huge, and I want to put out my feelings on that right now. It is specifically keyed off of the word and the rules chapter tactics. Blood Angels and Space Wolves and probably Dark Angels do not have chapter tactics. You can still get their benefit if you get one, if you get a benefit from them in a unit of Marines. Let me tell you who also doesn't have chapter tactics. That would be Saint Celestine. Saint Celestine does not have chapter tactics, and she is an effective source of getting fearless and hit and run in your giant Iron Hand squadron of what could be the chapter master, the honor guard, 3 librarians with bikes, and I mean, you put that together, you get your hit and run, you're not sacrificing chapter tactics. People like Dante have it too. It doesn't have to necessarily be Celestine. Celestine is just the cheapest way of getting hit and run on these guys now.
What is her point cost, Paul?
It's 135 points. Now you have to take the 70-point sisters, but she's 135 points for a
what's her
character.
stat line?
Her stat line.
I've never actually seen her stat line.
Her stat line is not awesome. I think she swings at string 5, and she's got I want to say 5 attacks, and she has an invulnerable save, and she has a good armor save, and she comes back from death once if you roll the right thing. She's got a flamer, you know. She moves fast. I mean, you could send her off to handle things like all these MSU units or whatever. You could send her off to go kill things when you Voltron out. So when you Voltron out with this thing, you're looking at like another thing. You're looking at it's not the Lion Voltron. It's like the car Voltron. I think they had like 2 more vehicles or whatever in that thing.
She's good, man. I didn't realize she was that cheap.
Incredibly. So for 205 points, you're able to get the Battle Sisters and Saint Celestine just as an ally slot, just right there.
So
that's only 10 points cheaper than Dante, and arguably could do more because it is 2 units. I mean, you could have the Battle Sisters, hanging out, holding an objective.
Dante's a Lord of War slot, so you have to take some choice that had the Lord of War either off by itself to get it, or anyway. There's a lot more of a tax involved with Dante. Not that I would not prefer Dante over Saint Celestine. I'm just saying that if you're looking for efficiency, Saint Celestine's where it's at. And the sisters also still have the priest that you can take the Litanies of Faith to allow him to auto-pass his leadership test, which allows you to reroll your armor saves, not just armor saves, your saves in close combat.
That does not suck. No, I'll tell you. So, in addition to the Iron Hands chapter tactics that I really like, I also feel a lot more compelled with the Black Templars chapter tactics.
Hit us with what that does.
Okay, so some of the stuff is the same. So they all have Crusader. Big surprise. Not that spectacular, but it's. I mean, it's and Adamantium Will for everybody, which with the new way of denying the witch, that could end up being pretty good. They can't have librarians as part of their detachment, but you can include librarians from other detachments in the army. So that's a big deal change. And Righteous Zeal. If a Black Templars unit suffers one or more casualties in the shooting phase, or as a result of Overwatch, all models in that unit gain the counterattack and rage special rules until the end of the turn.
That's pretty big.
They did get better.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, with those big Marine mobs, with the weapon skill, ballistic skill 4 scouts now, the neophytes, or however they want to put them, in these big Marine blobs getting the charge off, all of a sudden you've got a lot more hitting power. And you put a scout out front to die from Overwatch, and then all of a sudden everybody else gets an extra attack on the charge. Like,
do they still have that rule where when they lose somebody that they gotta like run towards them too as well, or is that gone?
That is, I think that's something that the High Marshal does. Let me look at him real fast.
Okay, sorry about that. I just haven't read any of the Black Templar stuff yet.
Space Lou was giving us some crap about the Blood Angel Scouts, and they're not inferior.
They got Fury's Charge, yeah.
Yeah, that's Fury's Charge is not bad. Yeah, and you know what? They're just cooler. They're cooler because they're written. And mine with bolters are awesome. Gabriel said that Black Templar with the new Skyhammer detachment seems pretty good, except that you might not get Overwatched on to get this rage on the on the attacks.
Yeah. I'll just not shoot. I'll live if I don't shoot.
That's true.
The Skyhammer thing is strong. Like it's hard to get around. That is just it's neat. Those are all. It has all the rules you need. That if those things are good, it makes them better. I shouldn't say if. It is good.
I really like it. I'm forcing myself not to auto-include it when I build my list right now. So I want to try some of the other stuff.
With being able to pick to coming in turn 2, it's also a nice kind of just slot in there. I'm going to take what I really want, and then I'm going to take this because it's tactical. So, like in the Eldar book, you can kind of, I'm going to say screw around or whatever with a list that you just think is fun, and then you can put in something that hits really hard. And that helps you win a few more games. So you're still playing with the figures and the models that you think are cool, but then you've got this strong, uppercut that puts you into the winner circle a few more times, if that's something you care about. And I'll be honest, winning a couple games every now and then is fun.
I'm not finding that rule. I know I read it somewhere in here, but I'm not finding it right now.
Charles, man, good
later.
To see you. So the two Demi, he's got a question. So the two Demi companies for the free transport, do you have to pay for the upgrades? You do. If you want the upgrades, you have to pay for them. That is a nice 20
points for a Last Cannon? Come on.
Yeah,
it's 20 points for Twin Link Last Cannon.
I agree, but let's be real though. In an 1850 game, and I think the points and the missions are what balance this game. That's my spiel. That's my soapbox. In an 1850 game, points get real tight when you're making that formation. If your idea is just to put a bunch of Marines on the table, that's it for you. But again, you need to. It's not that bad. You still need that overhand right or whatever, and that formation doesn't have it.
So speaking of putting lots of Marines on the table, Troy brings up a great point that 30K is 40K legal. Mm-hmm. Discuss.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that when you were having your lightning storm. So we've been playing that. Maybe that's your thing, just coming back and repeating what the computer has said. I don't know.
I don't know. I literally heard none of that because lightning was striking around here. The weather for this whole week was supposed to be sunny and no clouds. I'm not even joking. I washed my car on Saturday because of that, and guess what?
Oh man,
the Emperor is not pleased.
But yes, being able to take 30K stuff is neat. I want to see more people do it. We made it legal at our last tournament. The next tournament we run, it's going to be legal there too. where you're able to take 40K and 30K, maybe not in the same detachments or whatever army, but you'll at least be able to bring a 30K list to our tournaments in the future when they go down.
Well, there you go, Troy. You get twice the love just because, the Emperor hates me. The Omnissiah is not love here.
So,
well, you were talking about that overhand right, man, and so the list that you've been throwing at us and tossing around these ideas, that thing has got to be called Chuck Liddell's freaking knockout blow or something, because there's so much punch and everything that you're putting into this list. I'm trying to find a way to say that it sucks just so I can laugh, but I can't.
Well, it can be picked apart, and things like Colexus Assassins that you're going to see could have an effect on it, especially if you're trying to beef up psychic powers. But to me, I just look at the librarians as almost just other characters. It's like a melt-a-bomb to go kill a land raider. It's something to help me go kill something else. And then when you're not prepared for it, then I've got all these fairly inexpensive psychic dice. I mean, a librarian on a bike is still difficult to kill, especially when he's in a squad with Feel No Pain and a few 2+ armor save guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen Paul make a list that didn't punch you in between the nether regions.
I like to punch
in some way.
Yeah.
I feel like going across the table and tearing people's heads off is a preferable style of play to me.
I fully endorse that.
I still like the shooty stuff, Eldar near and close to my heart. But Lou's got a good question. He says, what do we think is superior, the Seer Council or the Librarian Conclave?
Seer Council.
Okay, Chris, do you have an opinion?
Well, I think that the Seer Council is inherently better, just because everybody gets to use their dice and everybody gets the buff and nobody has to sacrifice their powers for it. At the same time, I feel like what you can do with a Marine Librarian, you might have a little bit more versatility, because Eldar don't have drop pods. Eldar don't have some of the tricks that you can put in, some of the tools in the Space Marine toolbox, as a great man once said. And I feel like there's some goods and some bads there, but I think that overall the Eldar still have a really mean swing when it comes to their psychic dice, because even if you ignore all of just the base buffs and stuff, some of the war gear that the Farseers have, like the ghost helms and the runes and all of that.
It's hard to deny the reliability of the Seer Council because of the things that you're talking about. I like it really is a 50-50 split for me, because the Marines being able to Voltron out later on is something that the Seer Council can't do. They've all got to stay tight in one ball. Now that's not always going to be a liability. In many cases it won't be.
What I like, for not a lot more points, I think that you just get a whole lot more out of a Seer Council. I think that if you do a bare bones Seer Council, and then you do a buffed up Librarian Conclave, I think you're going to see a lot more equality. But when you think about how a Seer Council is built to be competitive and be effective, I think that it's just going to outpunch a little bit more, and it's going to offer a little bit more.
Well, let's think about it this way. When you have a Farseer who's 115 points or whatever, and he gets 3 psychic dice compared to a 120-point Librarian that only gets 2 psychic dice, then you start to run into some lack of parity. But I think effectiveness on the table, it's almost a 50-50 split.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that the Seer Council has that the Librarians, I feel, really could use is just a stock 4+ vulnerable save, like the Warlocks get. I mean, that's something that, you have a Librarian out there and you fail a Lookout Sir on a crack missile, he's gone. There's nothing you can do about it.
I'm sorry, you Librarians on bikes.
Right, Librarians on bikes, yes, but I think
they come with bike stock, Chris.
I think that's when you select one in Army Builder or Battle Scribe, bike is there automatically.
Some of us don't do bikes, okay? Some of us have Terminator Librarians that need to get on the table.
They're 85 points, Chris. 85 points.
The new Skyhammer formation, Scattershot Painting is saying that they only be used by regular Marines and no Blood Angels or Dark Angels. This caused some debate today, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why that you're right, Chris. But I'll tell you. Nobody. I don't want anybody else in the chat to feel bad. Let's just say there's someone that has that we were going back and forth with today. But the symbol at the top of the page is a Marine symbol, and that tells you what faction it's in, and it doesn't have the faction of the Blood Angels or the Dark Angels or whatever. And something that a lot of people skip, and I'm gonna see if it's in this. I don't know if it's not in the Chaos Demons book, but you'll see, Chris, if you want to find it in your Marine book, it tells you how to read the data slate, and it specifically points to the picture up at the top, the fluff piece of art or whatever, and circles it and says this is the faction. Like, it's not a throwaway picture.
I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. I don't seem to remember us talking about this earlier, but again, I seem to have communication problems.
What, page 114? Imagine this. Look who stepped up to the plate.
Hey,
Justin's got the book. He's got the book, man.
Saying,
right there.
Sorry if this was asked before, but it says the unit says as part of the strike force or count as part of both detachment and formation. How do you guys think this affects things? I will ask you please clarify that question, and I'll be happy to try to give some kind of opinion.
I think what he's asking. I'm just gonna
you
throw
might
out
have
his opinion. I think what he's asking is if you pick a formation as part of this Gladius, retain the benefits of their formation on top of the benefits of being part of the Gladius Strike Force. I think the answer is yes.
Yes, that is true. You would get all the listed abilities. I don't think there's any other way to play it.
Johnny, tell me if I got that wrong. If I misunderstood your question.
Yeah. I can't think of any other way that can be played because of what we've seen, with the Decurions and whatever throughout what is becoming the standard. So I guess it would be fair to say kind of what was in this list that I was throwing around. Chapter Master on a bike, obviously with all the trimmings, the fist, Shield Eternal, the Gorgon chain, the Auspex maybe if you got the points, a command squad. With a couple of storm shields, a bunch of grav guns, and apothecary, throwing in the 3 librarians. I think I may have gone up to a 4th one, depending on the point level that you're playing, to get a bunch of psychic dice. You put that all in one squad. You add in Saint Celestine, and it takes up a lot of points, but you have a serious unit. It has a giant footprint. It can get a lot of work done, especially if you put in a couple of fists on your command squad, because they can all take the same upgrades as everything else. The rest of the list has a Space Marine Scouts and Land Speeder Storms, with it will not down the vehicles. It's not going to matter. They're going to be killed every time they're shot at, but it gives you a possibility. You're hedging your bets on that kind of stuff. The Priest along with the Sister Battle contingent to be able to you drop them in with the drop pod and the Sisters Battle, or not, whatever. So many options.
Now, why did you choose the Gorgon chain over the Shield Eternal?
If you're able to stack everything up, the Gorgon chain gives you the possibility of getting a 1+ Feel No Pain on your Chapter Master.
There it is.
You get the 4+ from Endurance. You get the +1 from the Chapter Tactic. You get the +1 from the
Priest.
Not the Priest. You get the +1 from the Warlord trait possibility coming out of the Clan Rockon thing, and then you get the +1 from the Chapter Tactic.
I'm glad you pronounced that the way I pronounce that. Every time I think of that, it's Aegis Hairmetal, Clan Rockon.
Yeah, and the first I mentioned this combo to someone today, and the first thing he says was, "Tournaments are never going to allow you to do that."
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
He was very adamant about tournaments never letting you do anything fun. That's what he said. He's like, no, oh, sorry. And he goes, "Oh, so sorry. The major tournaments won't."
Oh, man.
You mean the second largest GT doesn't count?
I bet he wouldn't say that to Justin's face.
Yeah, right. All I said was, like, look, man, why on earth would they not? It's like there are things like D weapons. If you put 1 wound on that guy, he loses his +1 Feel No Pain from the Gorgon's chain. Like, Strength D exists. Strength 10 exists. Things like that. There are lots of things in the game that that don't make that such an issue. You know, and the fact you can come in from the sides and chew up the side. I mean, you might have to actually use some tactics to beat that. You know, but there are tools in the game and tools in your brain that will allow you to mitigate almost everything in the game, just with those two things alone.
I think you make a really good point. I mean, there's somebody's going to have something that's going to hurt your list. You got to just accept that. You got to accept that. Sometimes you just got to hope for some good matchups, but you still got to make the most of your bad matchups, and you got to make the most of bad dice rolling. I mean, there's never going to be a way to fix 40K in such a way as that everybody has the same experience all the time, every time. And if it was, no one would play it because it'd be boring as all Hades.
Well, then it's chess, and people love chess, and you know people love checkers. I like Uno. There's this game. It's called Kung Fu Fighting, where you draw cards and you're able to do like special like kung fu moves, like running up a wall, dancing, sliding, flipping, or whatever kick. I love playing those kind of combos. I love all kind of games. All right, but 40K is a game of lots. It's a war game with sci-fi stuff, and sometimes you need to go against the odds and play the mission, or have the mission be the balancing factor, and the point value be the balancing factor. Like I was saying before, that's my soapbox. I'm gonna say that until the end, until something dramatically changes.
Well, that's where a lot of people mess up, man. Is, you know, they're like, oh, this is unbalanced. This is this or that. Play the mission, dude. I promise you. Even the book missions, there's a little, you know, they're not optimized. But if you play the mission with the subpar list, you can still win the game. I've done it. Everybody here has done it.
You got to play. You just got to play. So Gabriel's asking, do we think drop pods break the game?
No.
You know, okay, let me say why I don't. Playing as drop pods can sometimes be frustrating because you're not prepared for it. They seem like they're fairly cheap, and in some cases they're going to be free, and they just litter the board. And if you're not rolling average, then you don't strip those whole points, and they just sit there on that stupid objective all game long. All right. So, but is it game breaking? I do not. There are so many things in the game now that give you access to Interceptor. There weren't that many before. If you're playing Imperial, you've always had Kodias. You're playing Tau, you know, you've certainly got an Interceptor. You know, now Space Marines have a fair amount of Interceptor. There's even Forge Roll Chapter Tactics that open some of that up soon, a little bit. And I know you didn't want to hear play Marines to beat Marines. I get that, but there's lots of things in the game that kill drop pods.
You also got to get used to the idea that you're going to be playing Space Marines in a game of 40K.
Yeah, well, yeah. Space Marines are going to... You should run into them. Let's just say you play 10 games, you're supposed to run into Space Marines by the odds like 5 times.
Johnny, I'm looking at your question right now, by the way, bud.
So I think the only thing to do is to prepare for them, and you can prepare for them in multiple different ways. Being just a hard-as-nails assault army helps mitigate some of your drop pod fears. Like, for instance, let's just say Horde Army. Green Tide does not give a crap about drop pods.
Or D weapons.
Yeah.
True story.
A bunch of Gaunts don't care. Super Friends doesn't care about drop pods for the most part.
I like drop pods because it's like they deliver exactly what I want to charge right in my face.
Yeah, you just gotta weather that one little bit of fire. But are they frustrating? They can be. I've been on that other end of it to where like I fired at these one pod all game long, and it feels like I just never got his last hull point off.
Yeah. They could be frustrating. I think that if you're going up against a drop pod army, you have to be prepared to alter your deployment, because what a drop pod army's main intent is to close off lanes too. It's not just to put bodies in your face. I mean, that's the strength of it, yes. But it's closing off lanes too. So you think about it tactically, like how you're going to set your deployment up, and be like, okay, well, if I'm here versus here, his drop pods don't have the right amount of angles and stuff that they can get in there. An inertial guidance system gets them where they kind of want to be, but they can't land in certain things. You know, like
you have to play a sacrifice game against them too. You've got to say, okay, he's going to come down with this. I need to give up this because I know he's going to kill it with his melta guns. Or I've got to be in a non-favorable position, or I've got to create a favorable position, is what you're saying, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're more eloquent.
I think I've got this thing for Johnny ready if you guys are
Yep, it is.
cool with that. So he's talking about, okay, so there's a paragraph on page 112 that explains that the mass amount. Be honest, I don't get the paragraph. By this logic, can I say my captain is part of both the battle company and the Strike Force Command and stack benefits? Answer is no. The Strike Force Command is not a compulsory. It's an auxiliary. You have to pick one of those. So if you have the Battle Demi Company and your captain is the leader of that, he can't be the same leader of the Strike Force Command.
Got it. 40K Sue's got a question. I want to get on it.
Let's do it.
She says it sounds like a frivolous question, but there are in this game we're talking about space elves and robots and stuff. There's no frivolous questions. She's saying she wants to start Sister Battle, but she hates their haircuts, and everyone's saying that she has to keep the haircuts. That's just what they do. That's what their fluff is. I say do whatever hair you want. And thankfully, we're at a time where we've got a bunch of miniatures out there, all these miniature lines that have female alternatives, even just head swaps. Like, I know getting a head off that metal model will be a pain in the rear, but it's still possible. And
Or
I
you
don't.
could-
Go ahead.
You
I don't think I've
could
ever
just
read
sculpt extra green stuff on to make the hair longer, or however you want to do it.
that's probably harder than cutting heads off and replacing them.
I don't
Lucky
know.
for
Maybe
her.
she's good with hair. We don't know that.
I don't. I guess, and also, I don't think I've ever read anything in the fluff that says that they have to maintain a certain hairstyle or the habit or whatever. I don't think that's ever been mentioned. And I'm trying to think back to like in the Heresy stuff. There's the beginnings of the faith of the Emperor and that kind of stuff. I want to say that the Remembrances or whatever had long hair.
Yeah, well, and the Sisters of Silence, they had long hair. They had big, long, old ponytails.
Look, here's the biggest caveat. She has access to one of the greatest converters the community has.
Meg David
Boucher.
put long hair on all of those, or head swaps.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best thing about 40K and about the hobby side of it. You don't have to, really stick to something. You make it your own. It is your own. Your blood, sweat, and tears are going into these things. So make it your own. Who cares?
This is not really a plug, for any particular vendor, but there are so many cool female miniatures out there now than there used to be. There didn't used to be that many options, but there's several of them that really work for Sister Battle and other things. You just want to mix up, some of your henchmen or your guard or whatever. So yeah, good question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Anybody who's willing to put that effort in, if it's not canon, I don't really care. If they're willing to put that effort in and to make it look good,
Kelly K saying he thinks dreadnoughts are awesome now. Yeah, man. Look, that fourth attack, I'm not as excited about it as the internet is. I'm really not.
I think they'll be good counter initiation units because obviously you can't put a squad of 3 in a pod. But I think that in the backfield, a unit of 3 of those guys are really going to make you question your target priority when you're looking to mess around in the enemy's backfield.
What do you take, though? What do you not take? What are you taking? Like, why are you taking this dreadnought? What aren't you taking? What do you skip over to get this dreadnought?
What's roll? Yeah.
Well,
too much.
I don't think about it too much because my dreadnoughts aren't cool like that.
There you go. Oh, Alan, I hadn't seen you before. At least I apologize if you're not new. But Dawn of War, the omnibus says that there's one sister with long gray hair and one that is bald. So completely and total, your preference.
I like a little of that Britney Spears on the hiatus haircut. She took it down a few.
Man,
thanks for just ruining my day.
Back to the dreadnoughts, man. Okay. Dreadnoughts are cool. Dreadnoughts look cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a dreadnought eventually. Like, I've always wanted to be a dreadnought. I don't know how I'm going to, live my life knowing I'll never be a dreadnought. All right? But still, on the game, there's almost no place for them on the tabletop.
I want to talk about a dreadnought with no place. Furiosa the Librarian. I mean, it made my voice crack just talking about it.
It's very overcosted, yes.
Oh my gosh.
This is how I've talked to Kelly about this. So this is how he sees it. Dreadnoughts get tar pitted. That extra attack prevents a little bit less of tar pitting. It gives you that one extra little punch, or using it as an anti-vehicle method. method.
Yeah.
So dropping down,
that extra whole attack, that extra 25% chance to get in there and tear open a vehicle is good.
That's where you're going to see a little bit more of it. Versus a 5-man unit that's kind of tough that comes in and tar pits the crap out of him. You might
dude
punch
today when I posted up the 1500 point version of the Super Friends. Again, it wasn't that, but it was there. 1500 points hard to work with. But that was a request, so that's what we did. If you have any Army List requests, just want some help with stuff or whatever, even just a sanity check, feel free to hit us on the Facebook. But he's like, man, I don't like your list because it's Iron Hands and you didn't take any of the stuff that I consider, and I'm talking to his perspective, consider to be Iron Hands. Mm-hmm. And wrote us off, and I'm like, dude, don't write us off. What do you mean? Tell me why you're saying that. And that's when he said, like, okay, I said, this gives us a conversation. So that's what I want to hear from you. So if that's your jam, you want to be all fluffy with one of these, like even the Iron Hands, or it could be the any of the successor chapters or whatever. Dreadnoughts, not a lot of points. Everybody's got some around. With it will not die and that kind of stuff. It makes them better.
It will not die makes them a lot better. Probably that's the only way I would take him if I'm taking him, other than Murderfang, because it irritates people when you play him.
But his murder accessories, all his murder claws, murder purse, murder dream house.
It's
murder
jaw
beard.
rule.
That's right.
Like it's straight up jaw rule in a dreadnought.
Yep.
I tell you, I think that 3 dreadnoughts in the backfield or 3 dreadnoughts advancing up the flank with Iron Hands chapter tactics, I think it has a place somewhere. I don't have a list in mind that uses it. This is just me kind of throwing it out there as something I feel like would be pretty cool, and you may get some use out of it. If you could do that with dreadnoughts with the chapter tactics for Black Templars, you can give them Crusader. They'll move just a little bit faster. I don't know.
Well, let's think about what you could do with the Dreadnought. All right. Yeah, you could prop open your door.
Hey man, those ones are
great. That at all, actually.
No, okay. No, what I was really going to say was you could almost use it to almost be a stopgap for Overwatch. So if you got a really important unit, like of woundable Marines,
a really important unit. Keep talking, please.
You could say, I'm going to charge for this Dreadnought, and they've got to fire their bolters and their flamers at the Dreadnought or whatever, and do something or not do something, and then you get to come in, with that overhand right kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're fairly cheap. They're a slot if you're going with a traditional force organization type slot to fill up with that drop pods to help even out your numbers or whatever it is you want to do. So I mean, yes, there is a use for them. They look cool. I love seeing them on the table because they do look cool, but I'm not sure.
They will win you games, but they will not win you GTs probably.
Because Paul's hating so much, he's going to lose to it in the last round of a major GT. He's going to get all dreadnoughted in his face.
I have lost a grand tournament due to a dreadnought placement before. Not my dread. He placed his dreadnought in a way that I didn't want to get too close because I didn't want to lose my Lehman Russ or whatever because it could go over there and just chump it.
Num.
And then ended up not getting enough points to win the event. So that almost happened. So yeah, you're right. It has. I don't want to hate too much. I'm just saying that it's Dreadnoughts. The 4th attack is way better than having 3 attacks.
I want to try it out.
Attacks,
I want to eventually when I get 3 non-Blood Angel Dreadnoughts, as I have 7 of those right now. I will give it a shot and see how it goes.
Sounds good. Let us know how it does.
Will do.
Chris, good to see you. Lamont, I don't think I gave a shout out earlier. I apologize if I have.
All right, can I cut in real fast?
Yep.
Can I have a nickname or something? Because every time someone says Chris in the questions, and I don't know if they're talking to me or not, because there's a bunch of Chris's in there, and I love you all for it. But I need something, because every time someone says that, I'm like, what, huh?
Do I just get to give you one just off the cuff, or do you want us to wait for the show?
No.
You might regret asking that for off the cuff one.
I mean, after talking about dreadnoughts and coming in with a little bit of echo, I don't know. I'm kidding, of course. Okay, Marines. While we've got a few, we covered that. I probably beat it to death, and I apologize you didn't show up for the Marine episode. I want to talk briefly about Armada, the fantasy flight game Armada. We got about 10 minutes left, and I know I didn't, but I played Armada over the weekend with a guy who he's not into 40K, but he's a really smart guy, very tactical, longtime friend, and. I said, hey, let's get into this new game. I know 40K is not your thing, but let's do this. We can still get this competitive itch scratched. And the wave of ships that just came out with the Gladiator and the goldfish-looking thing. Forget what the goldfish is called. I didn't play the Rebels. I actually liked the Rebels, but I played the Imperials because anyway, whatever. Just trying to learn the game. The Gladiator and Darth Vader and that kind of stuff were very, very fun to play with. We said the narrative was also awesome because there's a very limited card pool and vehicle ship pool now playing, but there's enough to have fun, but it's still somewhat limited. So he's playing over there with Wedge, Luke, and Leia, and I'm over here with Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader and Howlrunner, and plus a couple extra over whatever just to fill out because we played a full 300-point game. And we're joking around. It's like, well, no matter who wins this, the movie's over. We're not. There's going to be no progression in the movie. And the last shot of the game, last thing killed, was Darth Vader killing Luke. It was it was neat.
It's like the reverse of an Oedipus complex or something. I don't know.
There's enough in the game now to put together these very interesting combos and to see how it works. Like the Rebels have an A-Wing pilot. It's a named A-Wing pilot who's deadly. The A-Wing can move very fast, and he's got this counterattack ability that every time you shoot at him, he basically gets to shoot 2 dice back at you.
Does he also have a free crash into the cockpit or into the Star Destroyer bridge move?
He does. I don't think they can do that in this game. I think they can do that in X-Wing.
Because I was just thinking that would be perfect. You just zip this guy up and crash him into the first Star Destroyer, and then it's gone.
Yeah, all the A-Wings move really fast. I don't know. I don't have I memorized all the cards. There may be something in there of that, but it was a very interesting character that basically allowed him to do a lot of damage to my ships. I mean, I killed him eventually, but I had to kill him with I ran over there with Howlrunner and then used her ability to absorb the damage because he was just putting hull points essentially on all my TIE fighters.
Howlrunner is basically a TIE fighter where the wings are storm shields.
That's interesting too that you mentioned that. She plays similar in X-Wing, so that's cool how they kept that.
Yeah, it seems to have imported enough of the feeling of that game to be, but it's still its own thing. You still have it. I did not. This is the first game. The first game that I've won. I've played 6 games of this, and this is the first one I've won. In 4 of those games, I drove my Star Destroyer right off the table.
Note to self: don't let Paul drive.
Well, we were playing on a 3x3 mat, which is
okay.
On Armada you're supposed to play on a 3x6. Now I ended up getting the 3x6 from Frontline, the 3x6 mat, the star mat. Put some pictures of the game up on Facebook. I like to, on Saturdays when we're playing, I like to just put some picture up on the Facebook to see what everybody else is doing too.
Yeah, there was this giant bottle of alcohol that was floating in space.
It's an obstacle, and I was
near
able
the battle.
I was able to overcome it. It's known as the nebula of the wilderness turkey, and I was able to fly right through it. It was like.
Let's see what you did there.
Yeah.
Space turkeys.
That's right.
You milk those space turkeys, bro.
Yeah. I've not played Star Trek Attack Wing. I like Star Trek. I'm not as big and much into Star Trek as I am Star Wars. I really like the look of these Star Wars ships, and the game again is fun to play. That Gladiator is boss. I was able to you can equip it out where it can fire twice. I had it completely out of position. I was never able to use this ability, but the time when I'm only firing once, I destroyed that goldfish looking thing in 2 rounds.
Dude,
wow.
if you get in range of that gladiator, it will mess you up.
Yeah.
It will destroy you.
I had Grand Moff Tarkin, who's able to dish out command tokens to all your ships every round. So what I did was I flew up. I got in my opponent's face to where it was going to be difficult for him to get out of my range, and then threw on the brakes so he couldn't fly right by me. So I did the total Top Gun. I just like went up there and then used the command tokens to slow down. I mean, you don't go backwards, but I slowed down to where he was not able to maneuver around me.
No, that's the biggest thing with the Armada and X-Wing too. They're huge on movement, huge. Like, I mean, you don't get like pre-measuring. We're lazy 40Kers. You know what I mean? Like, you need to measure everything out. Like, you don't get this in these games, man.
You can in
blows
Armada.
my mind.
It does let you pre-measure in
that?
Armada.
Well, you can't. You basically get to measure, but you're still limited by how you turn. So if your opponent moves into where you're going, it can cause some trouble.
That's the truth. No, like I would say movement is more important in this game than it is in 40K, and movement is very important in 40K. But kind of bringing Fantasy Flight and board games back in, that new 40K board game is coming out this week.
The miniatures for that look amazing.
I want to play that so bad. I want that game like 100 times.
That is going to get bought. That's all I can say. That game, it looks. I mean, Fantasy Flight does not put out bad stuff. They're proving that I'm sure they charge people out the behind for this, but they're proving that they will do well with your license. If you license them something, they're going to put out a quality product.
Oh yeah.
Even the tactile feel of it, that kind of stuff. Everything just looks so good.
Well, and then think about the future that the IP the GW has. They're outsourcing a lot to them. What's to say one day we might not see like a merge or something?
I don't know. I'm willing to bet that they are regretting the decision of letting Fantasy Flight hold under all their stuff, because they're going to be, and they are a significant competitor at this point. I mean, I can scratch my 40K itch, possibly with a Fantasy Flight game. That doesn't mean that I'm going to. I'm certainly not going to. But that feel is there, in one way or another.
Well, and GW released the Assassin thing. They had Space Hulk back in the day. That's their attempt at these board games, and they're very good. Space Hulk is a very hard game. The Assassin's game, it's difficult. It's beatable, but it's actually really fun, and you can put yourself into some funny predicaments and things like that. I really enjoy it. If you haven't got it yet, if it's not sold out, I don't think it is, but get it. It's worth it.
Yeah, even if you just get the rules, you can find the rules online where people are selling them after they've taken the miniatures out. All you need is the boards, the cardboard, and the stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to play it. I probably won't buy it, but I'd like to play it.
Yeah. No, dude, buy it on eBay, like Paul said. Buy it on like eBay or Barter Trade or some site like that. You can get them for like $20. It's the rules, it's the boards, it's everything. It's so cheap.
That seems $20 for more dreadnoughts.
Yeah, I can see that. But hey, there's gonna be more Armada stuff coming from us, and some X-Wing too.
Yeah.
So if that's your jam, please hit us with your list. Like I'm by no means an expert on Armada. I feel like I did really strong in this last game. But again, that's the first game I've won.
School us. I'm like the worst X-Wing player ever. I've won like one.
I sat down. There's a really good builder online. I sat down and I really looked at all the options. And again, there's not a ton of options out there, only on wave 1 or 2 or whatever. But there's enough to make it fun. Yeah. And this builder, in that builder I used, you could plug in, you could tell it which sets you had, and it would let you build out of the sets that you have. And I feel like I made the best combination of things out of what I had.
Yeah, honestly, if Armada is anything like the model that X-Wing is using, you're going to be in Wave 7 in no time, because that's where we're at.
Yeah,
it's like, holy cow.
There's not going to be any shortage of intellectual property, and then we're going to get to the point where the new movie comes out in December, and we're going to have all new stuff.
Yes. Like X-Wing's already introduced some new things that aren't in any of the universes or anything like that. They might be in like a book or something, but
there are. I mean, they all exist. I'll say that. Well, guys, we're at the end of the hour. I think it's been fun. I really appreciate you guys being here with me and all the questions we got in the Q&A and everybody that showed up. Yeah, you guys got anything you want to cover before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered most of what I wanted to talk about. And unless I bring something up we've already talked about that I missed somehow.
Make sure you guys pay attention. Coming up next, man, episode 100 for the podcast too. So it's there's gonna be something that's kind of a big deal. You know, so you might
don't jinx it. I hope so.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, guys, in the chat, in the Q&A, thanks for keeping it active. Cannot express our appreciation enough for viewing. You guys here in the chat or on the video with me, really thank y'all for spending some time with me this evening. I'll talk to y'all soon.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.